Whoa. Forgot that it went that
Quick
fast.
transition.
All right. I almost said Illini Basketball Podcast. It is the presenting sponsor of this show, though. The Illini Basketball Podcast is the sponsor of the Countdown to March Madness. This is the number 2 edition. This is February 2025 is what I was definitely going for there. 17th. Second to last. We only got one more in February before we enter March. So that's exciting. What is on ESPN right now? Okay. We'll start with the committee's top 16, which I'm not sure if you watched their unveiling.
I was not available for that, but I did see it afterwards.
Also, I'm not wearing a collared shirt. I'm wearing a shirt that says I hate communism. It's really because I just don't want to. The Illinois pissed me off. I don't know. I'm having a bad day.
We will not be talking about the loss of Merez Johnson Jr. in this podcast. So if you are an Illini fan and you're here for that, we apologize.
Just know that we're
deeply
mad.
Sad. Ethan wore black today.
I'm not sad. I'm mad.
Okay, sad. I'm sad. You're mad. It sounds like
I'm starting to think he got undercut. That's what I'm saying.
Mad.
He got undercut.
Yeah, but I mean, he breaks it either way. Why does that matter?
Because I'm mad. All right.
All right.
The South region had Auburn as the 1 seed, Texas A&M as the 2, Wisconsin as the 3, Texas Tech as the 4. I think that's a pretty good draw for Auburn. Wisconsin's really good offensively, but I don't trust Texas A&M's offense. I'm not too scared of them. And Texas Tech's really good, but Auburn I think is a different level. And this would be like an actual 1 seed draw. Because if you remember, obviously UConn had Iowa State and Illinois in their bracket last year, as well as hold on. Where am I at here? 2, 3. San Diego State and Auburn was also in that region last year too, but they lost to Yale in the first round. But I think it's a good draw for Auburn if this were to be the, what happens.
Yeah, zero chance that this is how it ends up, but
no. It's fun to look at it that way, though.
Yeah, it's definitely is. I like Wisconsin's been really good. I have a hard time seeing them maybe as a 2 seed at this point after beating Purdue. So I think Lenardi has them as like the number 1 3 seed right now. So chance to keep moving up for them, which is pretty impressive considering, how Greg Gard always starts his seasons. So, but they're I'd say the hottest team in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, I mean, they started 8-0. They beat Arizona, and then they lost 3 in a row to Michigan, Marquette, and Illinois. Yeah. And since that loss to Illinois, they are 12-2. They have a pretty favorable end to their season. They're home for the next 3 games against Illinois, Oregon, and Washington. At Michigan State's a tough one. At Minnesota, and then home against Penn State. Like that's a very well they could end up 4-1 in the year, which puts them at 24-6. And with the quality of wins they have, if they can get to the Big Ten semifinals, get to the finals, like that's probably going to end up being a 2 seed, I would think.
Yeah.
And like their Big Ten record is 10-3 or 10-4. So, and their Big Ten losses are Michigan, Illinois, UCLA, Maryland. Like those are all quality losses. He's done a really good job with this team. Obviously, big turnover too, which is why he's going to be the Big Ten Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. They lost Hepburn, they lost Storr, they lost Wall. I think Storr is addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
They bring in Tanjay. He's probably one of the 10, 15 best players in the country this year. Blackwell is growing in year 2. Klesmet and Crowell, and those guys have been in the system for a while.
Yeah, solid quality. Just add guys. They're not gonna wow you, but they do their job and they're pretty good at it. So.
Yeah, and there's another element to where if Janicki plays like he did against Purdue, if he's going to play 10 to 15 minutes, he's a 35% three-point shooter. Wisconsin's been really good. We'll talk about them a little bit more in a little bit. The Midwest, they had Alabama as the 1, Purdue as the 2, Iowa State as the 3, Kansas as the 4. Kansas really doesn't belong anywhere near the 4 line at this point.
No.
This is not a very good basketball team for the Kansas standard. They're offensively challenged. This is a team that hasn't put up 80 points since they did so against a bad UCF team. and they scored 86 in double overtime against Houston. This team offensively, though, really, really bugs me with the talent and the veteran guys that they have, that their offense has struggled this much. They scored 67 on the road at Utah. They scored 71 at home against a winless in the Big 12 Colorado team. Excuse me, a 1-13 Colorado team in the Big 12. They beat UCF over the weekend. They lost at Kansas State. They look good against Iowa State, but Iowa State was struggling at that point.
Yeah.
For Alabama, though, I think this is a decent draw as well. If it were to happen, I don't really think there's anybody you really fear there if you're Alabama. Like, I don't think Purdue could beat Alabama.
No, I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah,
Alabama, I think is, them and Auburn are two of the best teams. That game, slightly disappointed. Alabama tried to make it a game towards the end, but then Auburn just, did what they do. So
the West setup is Florida as the 1, Houston is the 2, Kentucky is the 3, Michigan is the 4. The East is Duke is the 1, Tennessee is the 2, Arizona as the 3, St. John's is the 4. I don't have a lot from those. I mean, the West is interesting. Like Houston, we think about what they've done. I mean, they're top 10 in efficiency in both offense and defense this year. They have length, athleticism. They guard really hard. Florida's got an elite perimeter, a lot of size, really good offense, and they can guard as well. Kentucky is pretty much all offense with the way that they play. Like, they're a team that's going to want to play in the 90s. And Michigan has kind of an interesting dynamic in their front court with Golden and Wolf, and they got some good guards as well. That would be an interesting one. Then, obviously, the East region, Duke, I think, pretty far superior to most of the teams in the that'll be in the field. I mean, you could argue Duke is the best team coming into it. I wouldn't, because I think Auburn is, but I think Duke's right there. Duke did beat Auburn.
Okay.
St. John's is a 4 is something that I still worry about that offense. We'll see. I know that their offense yesterday was doing pretty well against Creighton with 79 points, and obviously if you can get the numbers they got yesterday, they just don't. I just worry about the modern game being a game where you shoot a lot of threes, and St. John's is not good at that. I think there's a limit to how far you can go if you can't make threes.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because, I mean, Tennessee and St. John's, you when you think of them, you think of their defense. So for them to be the 2 and the 4 out of the East, kind of a different, I want to say, style of college basketball right now, but they pride themselves on that kind of stuff rather than shooting the lights out. So,
yeah, I think Arizona is a team that can play both ways. I think they can play a muck-it-up game and hang around with teams. They did it against UCLA. They lost by 3. They did it against Houston. They lost by 4. But I also think they can, turn up the scoring when they need to. They had 82 against Texas Tech, 81 against Baylor. They put up 104 against Davidson earlier in the year. So I think that's not too bad of a draw if you're Duke. Tennessee's good, but I just worry about that. The good thing for Tennessee and St. John's is that they guard so well that you could see them winning a game in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah,
they every time.
Yeah, they don't have to rely on their scoring if their defense shows up that night. So,
but as we know, the most important thing in the tournament every year for teams that have high ceilings is to have a perimeter pro, and
yeah.
Florida has that. Duke has that. Alabama, I think, has that with Philon. Purdue does not have that. Tennessee, I'm not sure they have that. Houston, it depends on if people see LJ Cryer as an NBA guy or not.
Yeah.
But you got to have that, and that's kind of where you draw the line for some of these teams. But, I mean, it's held true. You look at UConn last 2 years. They had Castle last year, who's a lottery pick. They had Hawkins the year before that, who was, I think, either a lottery pick or right outside the lottery. Baylor had Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler were both guys that got drafted. So we'll see. Enough committee talk. They suck. We talked about the Indiana job a little bit last week, so I decided to put together some of the best fits for the Indiana job. I will say ones that I think are possible fits, but I don't think the top level of best fits. Chris Beard at Ole Miss is one of those guys. Grant McCasland at Texas Tech. Buzz Williams at Texas A&M. Ben McCollum at Drake. And Brad Brownell at Clemson. But I think the three best fits, I think it starts with Dusty May at Michigan, obviously. Went there, coached, was a team manager under Bobby Knight. Good basketball coach. A good start to his year in the Big Ten with Michigan. TJ Otzelberger is a Midwest guy who's really completely transformed Iowa State's program. They were not very good in the post-Hoiberg era. If people remember, Iowa State before Otzelberger took over, they went 2-22 in 2021. In 2020, they were 12-20. They were good in 2019, but those 2 seasons after really, really hurt them. They had a lot of inconsistency. Like Steve Prohm had a couple good years there. Sweet 16 in year 1, second round. Then they got to the tournament and lost in the first round in 2019. But their 3 bad years were pretty bad. They won 4 games in the Big 12 in 2018. They won 5 in 2020. They won 0 in 2021. And then you look at what Otzelberger has done. They've been pretty stout each year. Sweet 16 year 1, lost in the first round in 2023. Sweet 16 last year. And this year they're 20-5, 10-4 in the conference. And the big difference this year is that their offense is a lot better than it's been before, which is why I'm not completely ruling out Iowa State. They've won 3 in a row against bad opponents, but I'll be very curious to see how they come out on Saturday at Houston. That'll be an interesting one there. And then the other one is Mick Cronin. Did a phenomenal job at Cincinnati. He's done a good job at UCLA. I don't think he's a good fit at UCLA.
Okay.
You don't think Mick Cronin will be a good fit at Indiana?
I just don't see him leaving UCLA.
That's not what I'm.
Okay, you're saying that he.
I do see him leaving UCLA.
Okay.
I don't know if it'd be the best.
That is what you're saying.
Well, it's not.
It's not what you're saying. That you think that he would be good for Indiana. Yeah. I mean, he's a good coach. I don't know. I don't know Mick Cronin's backstory. I know you're best friends with his brother, but
no. He made the tournament 10 times in a row at Cincinnati before leaving for UCLA, including getting to the Sweet 16 in one of those years. He made the tournament twice in 3 years at Murray State. So he's a Midwest guy. I mean, you go Ohio Valley, then you go to Cincinnati. And UCLA is a good job. Last year they weren't very good. This year they are pretty good. His first 4 years, 3 of his first 4 years, they were really good. It helps when they had Tiger Campbell and Jaime Jaquez, but they've made the second weekend 3 times there with him. But I think if he wants to go back to the Midwest, then Indiana is the ideal fit. Like if he's looking to go back to the Midwest, this would be one of the top jobs that you'd want.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
I think Indiana is a better job than Louisville was.
Okay.
But I think Cronin may have taken Louisville too. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they're probably going to hire like a good coach that isn't the name that Indiana fans want, and they'll freak out if I had to guess. Or for some reason, Indiana fans don't want Chris Beard. I find that weird, but whatever.
Were any Indiana fans happy when they hired Woodson?
I think it was one of those things where I didn't really want it, but they had to talk themselves into it, which is exactly what I would have done if I were an Indiana fan.
Yeah.
And then I remember saying that it was a bad hire, and then people trying to point that they made the tournament in the first couple of years or whatever, which, yeah, it's really worked out well. Wisconsin, we talked about. They beat Purdue at Mackey. The big thing with Wisconsin is to just make a bunch of threes. I mean, they just rain them in from downtown. At least that's what we've seen with them this year. I think they were averaging 10.3 threes made per game. Going into the Purdue game, this one 94-84. Tanjay had 32, 6, and 3. Klesmit had 17. Blackwell had 11. Winter had 12. Janicki had 11. And Kamari McGee got ejected for no reason. And then on the Purdue side, it's just, Braden Smith has 12 assists, but he didn't have enough points. TKR
Shot
had 30
25%.
points.
Yeah. Braden Smith doesn't show up. And I'm not saying that he didn't show up, but if he isn't
he did not show up.
If he's not a scoring threat, Purdue's they're in trouble. He's had to become a huge scoring threat this year, which I think that's really helped this game. I think that he's done that enough. Guys have bad games, so
I get that this is a high scoring game and there weren't a lot of rebounds to be had. But I think if you're a Purdue fan, you have to be a little bit annoyed that First had 1 rebound in 24 minutes. And TKR, I know he had 30 points and he had an efficient, good game, but he had 4 rebounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. That bothers me a little bit. But obviously the teams were such high. Wisconsin went 20 for 22 from inside the three-point line in this game. The rebounds were 25-23. So there weren't a lot of rebounds to be had, but TKR, if you're going to have 30 points, you should probably have more than 4 rebounds. And I just don't. I'd be a little annoyed if I were a Purdue fan.
Yeah. And it looked like, they were heavily worried about stopping Braden Smith. Let TKR get his, whatever he needs to do. But, if you shut him down, how many did Braden end up with? Because he only had 6 last time I checked.
He had 6.
He finished with 6? Yeah.
6, 5, and 12.
Can't have that.
TKR had 2 or more offensive rebounds in every game since January 15th.
Yeah.
Or every game after January 15th. He had 0 in that game, but he had 1 in this game. He had 7 offensive boards against USC, 4 against Iowa, 3 against Michigan. So, yeah, got to be better on the glass.
Yeah,
if you're Purdue.
And Caleb First, he had not a great season last year. I know that he was behind 2 other guys. I thought he was really good his freshman year in the time he played, and it looked like he was back to that. But if First isn't being that body that fights for boards for you, he doesn't do a whole lot else on the court. So
yeah, and this game pretty much just came down to 2-point shots.
Yeah,
where Purdue went 19 of 34 and Wisconsin went 20 for 22. Both teams shot over 40% from 3. So high efficiency offense, but just not good enough if you're Purdue in that game. UConn loses at Seton Hall. Pretty bad loss, pretty season low, I would say, for the Huskies. Losing to the Seton Hall team that I would call one of the worst power conference teams I've seen in a long time. This is a bad basketball team by every single measure, except for the fact that they force turnovers on defense. That's about it. They're not offering up much else. They now have 2. They are 2-12 in the Big East, with 0 of those being regulation wins. They beat DePaul in overtime. They beat UConn in overtime. And for UConn, they beat Marquette. They lost to St. John's. They beat Creighton. They lose to Seton Hall. Have to think they beat Villanova tomorrow night and then lose to St. John's on Sunday if we're going to keep that going. I just think this team has so many issues to figure out that I would not be that scared to play them in the tournament if I'm a team playing them right now. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that, but it's just their defense is terrible. It's just teams shoot 35% from 3 against them.
Pretty sure you're saying their offense was terrible too. So,
well,
they have 23 points. You said
it's 30. Definitely not where it needs to be. Yeah, they had 22 points in the first half.
Yeah, and they had 28 with 10 minutes left or something. You texted me. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Well, with 10 minutes left, they had 34, but I think they had 28 with 12 minutes left.
Okay.
They scored 24 in the final 10 minutes, but then they gave up 22, so it was tied. It's bad. There's a lot of Illinois in their offense, I think. At least the numbers would bear that out in this game. I think Illinois would be a little bit more efficient from 2 than they were in this game, but 8 for 26 from 3. They had 41 rebounds. They had 16 turnovers. This is a lot of Illinois in that offense against Seton Hall. A lot of bad Illinois. And I don't think that is a reflection of UConn's offense as a whole this season. Their biggest problem this season has been defense. But this team should be so much better than it is, I think. Obviously, there have been some injury issues. McNeely, lottery guy, being hurt for as long as he was. But it's not a team that I would fear right now. Now, I could be wrong. To be fair, they do have a perimeter pro. They have won 12 straight tournament games. They shoot 36% from three. They have a lot of athleticism and size. Like, I think there's a chance they turn it on, but as of right now, I don't see it happening. And Hurley's never won at Seton Hall. Fun fact.
Really? Wow.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I think somebody said
it. Okay.
I mean, I would question why Hurley scheduled such bum opponents for their first 4 games of the season. That's what this comes down to. They weren't ready for Maui. They went into Maui playing Sacred Heart, New Hampshire, Lemoyne, and East Texas A&M, and they lost all 3 at Maui. So I would question that.
I think that he knew that he didn't have a dominant team like he had the last 2 years.
I went into this season thinking that they were really, really good, though.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe he would know more than me given the practices, but that's it. I know more than him in everything else.
True.
But yeah, they'll probably get to the Sweet 16. I don't think they're a real threat to too much more, but
yeah,
I think they're going to start to get that like that. I think the Hurley UConn era is going to start to get that like Bill Self thing where there are Kansas teams that aren't good, or Tom Izzo. Like there are Kansas and Michigan State teams that really aren't very good, but they almost always get to the second weekend anyway. And I think that's probably what we'll see with UConn this year. And it's not what we saw early because remember, before they won their first championship, Hurley had 4 seasons and 0 tournament wins at UConn. They lost in round 1 in 21. They lost in round 1 in 22, and they haven't lost since. But the big thing now is last year's team lost 2 conference games. This year's team has lost 5. Last year's team lost 3 games as a whole. This year's team has lost 8, which is as many as they lost in the year that they won the championship in 23. There are definite concerns with UConn, and you cannot lose to Seton Hall. Like Seton Hall is – everything about Seton Hall this season is really, really bad. I mean, this is a team that was 0-5 stretch from December 8th to the end of the year. And in the new year, they are, I believe, 2-10, 2-9. And they scored 48 points against Hofstra. They scored 56 against Fordham. They're the first 4 games of the season, they scored 57, they scored 56, 48, 54, 293rd efficiency offense in the country. One of the 8 to 9 worst teams in the country at 2-point percentage. Their defense is good, I guess. I mean, they force a lot of turnovers. They have some athletic guys. They did hold Wagner to 28 points this season. So that's good. But yeah, they're not good. Not good at all. And for UConn to lose that one, oof, better get it back. They played it in the season, UConn and Seton Hall. So,
okay.
What else? Auburn continues to win ball games. They've lost once since they lost to Duke because they've lost twice this year. So December 8th to now, Auburn is 15-1 with a loss to Florida. So I think Auburn's probably pretty good.
Yeah. Good for Bruce Pearl.
Do you think Bruce Pearl gets them to a Sweet 16 this year?
Yeah, I think they make the Sweet 16.
Elite
8? Yeah. I don't think they make the Final Four, though.
Okay. He went tournamentless first 3 years, then second round in 18, Final Four in 19, second round in 22, second round in 23, and they lost to Yale in the first round last year.
Bruce just has to give more of those who's the mother effing number 1 team in the country speeches.
They did lose to Duke. It was a Cameron Indoor, though, to be fair.
Yeah, it's tough place to play, they say.
Not for 2021 Illinois with no fans. We already talked about Kansas, not very good. Who cares? Is Matt McMahon on the hot seat at LSU? What are your thoughts?
Yes.
They're 2-10 in the SEC this season. They're 13-35 in the last 3 seasons. They can't get past the post-Will Wade cheating era.
Yeah. It's a shame. They should bring him back.
They did beat Oklahoma after I wrote this stuff about Matt McMahon before the game Saturday when I wrote this. They beat Oklahoma, but still really bad. They have not figured it out. I think have they gotten better every season? Technically, probably, I guess. I mean, last year last year's team wasn't very good, but they won 9 conference games. This year's team's not going to get there. So I think he's got to be on the hot seat, no doubt. I mean, he has to be. There's no way he's not. All right. CBS Sports has an article. This is from Cameron Salerno, featuring Isaac Trotter, I believe. So this is their stuff, not ours. We're not claiming to have made this up. It's 6 buy or sell items. Very exciting here. Would you buy or sell the SEC getting 3 or more number 1 seeds?
Currently, I'm going to say buy.
Florida, Alabama,
Auburn, yeah.
I am going to buy that as well because I think scheduling, and I don't know who's there to kind of take over.
I mean,
Houston?
But right now, isn't like the next 2, like Texas A&M and Tennessee are next? Are they the top 2 seeds?
Is A&M? I don't know.
Maybe Houston was. I don't. From the graphic I saw, I thought it was three SEC teams were number 1, and then they had the top 2 seeds. But maybe the
you're right. Yeah,
weird.
You're right.
So, So
they might get all 4.
I don't. If Illinois somehow finds a way to beat Duke,
I don't know if that would bump Duke though, because I think Duke's still going to win every game regardless.
True.
It would be Illinois beating Duke and then Duke losing to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then losing to like Clemson or something again in the ACC tournament. Houston was actually the last 2 seed on the list. So, okay. But I still think Houston would have a chance, but it's just a lot to overcome. So I think we got to buy that. Salerno is selling that, by the way, for anybody wondering. And Trotter's also selling. These morons. These guys don't know shit. Buy or sell, Michigan will win the Big Ten regular season title.
If they beat Michigan State, I would say buy. I don't know.
You have to buy or sell no matter what.
I mean, I'm buying. I think they have the most favorable schedule down the stretch. So,
do they?
I don't know.
They got Michigan State twice.
Okay.
They got Illinois and Maryland in Ann Arbor, as well as at Nebraska.
Wisconsin wins it with 4 losses.
Wisconsin does have the best schedule. I'm going to still buy it, though. I think Michigan's good enough. I think Michigan can go 3-2 to finish. I think Wisconsin could get picked off. They're 2 games ahead of Wisconsin right now. Michigan State's 11-3, but they still have Purdue, Michigan, Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Michigan. I think those Michigan State games are really going to determine it, and I wouldn't rule out Purdue finishing with 5 straight wins. Like if they can win at Michigan State after losing 2 straight, then you go at Indiana, they can win that game. They're home against UCLA and Rutgers. Illinois can't beat them for some reason. So,
and Michigan, like, it's not like they're handedly winning games. I guess would be the like. How many wins do they have within 4 points? Like 5 of them or something. So I'm selling it. Michigan's not winning the Big Ten.
I'm gonna buy it.
Okay.
Buy or sell. The SEC is in danger of these 3 sliding off the bubble. I don't know who the 3 are.
Those are good stuff. I'm buying.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Okay, it's Georgia, Oklahoma, and Arkansas.
I'll buy.
You got to buy that. I mean, Georgia is 4-9 in the SEC. Oklahoma's 3-9. Arkansas is 4-8.
Yeah.
That Texas win against Kentucky was huge for the bubble, though. If you're an SEC team, Texas beating Kentucky to get to 5-8. If you want more teams out of the SEC, and you're an SEC, the SEC is going to get everybody in, according to a lot of this stuff.
It's insane.
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They're going to get like 13 bids. Worst case,
in the Sweet 16.
4.
Okay. 5
maybe. Like I think those 1 seeds will probably get in unless they play Illinois in the second round, obviously. Buy or sell. Janai Broome has closed the gap in the National Player of the Year race.
Buy. I mean, I think Janai Broome. I know people are. I am assuming Cooper Flagg is winning. Yeah. Is what this article is saying. I think Janai Broome should be the Player of the Year. So I would buy that.
I think it kind of depends on what you value. Like, do you value the fact that a 17-year-old freshman has dominated the
ACC,
majority of his games this year? I mean, I get that, but he had 22, 11, and 4 against Auburn. And he had 24, 7, and 3 against Arizona. And he had 26 and 11 against Kentucky. I think I'm going to sell. I think Flagg's got it locked up. I think the narrative is there. He's the number one freshman in the country. I mean, Janai Broome is 35 years old. I'm not that impressed
like
tearing it up at the SEC.
It's one of those things where, like, it's hard to lose if you're the front runner. So,
yeah.
But it was just closing the gap. It wasn't that he'd win.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think
the Michigan wins in the Big Ten have been by 4 points or less.
If Auburn wins the SEC, that would go a long way for Broome. I mean, it's the hardest conference we've seen in a long time, I think.
Yeah.
Buy or sell. Ooh, here's a good one for you. You got this. Texas's Trey Johnson is college basketball's second best freshman.
Sell.
Do you think it's VJ Edgecombe, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey?
Obviously, any of those guys, because I don't know who Trey Johnson is.
You better start paying attention. The kid's been popping off 32, 9, and 3 against Kentucky.
Really? I think he is. Watch that game. So
I think he is. I mean, you look at the numbers he's putting up in the SEC, like he is a very talented ball player. And he's really not talked about, probably because Texas is not very good. But, I mean, he's averaging
Rutgers isn't very good.
No, but Trey Johnson is averaging 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists as a freshman on an SEC team.
So he just scores.
Well, he had 32, 9, and 3 against Kentucky.
Okay.
I'm not going to say he just scores because he does have okay.
I don't know. I'm asking him. It was just a question.
It felt like a leading question. He had 9 rebounds against Kentucky. He had 5 against Vanderbilt, 5 against Arkansas. You know, he's getting 3 to 5 assists every game now. He's 44, 37, 87 splits. I would say he's probably the second best freshman in the country. Should probably be talked about a little bit more.
Where's he at on the draft boards?
Yeah, I feel like he's been going up. There's so many college guys that are going to be in the lottery that I don't know how much higher he can rise. I feel like the narrative has always been like the Rutgers guys and then Edgecombe and Yakachonis are going to be the guys behind Flag.
Right.
The SI mock draft from 11 hours ago has Flag 1, Harper 2, Edgecombe 3, Yakachonis 4, Bailey 5, and then Trey Johnson 6. So he's behind those guys.
Which isn't, I guess that's not really a measurement stick for who's a better basketball player. But
no.
What's Trey Johnson? What is he? Is he a
6'6", I guess he's a wing. I mean, he kind of plays like a guard, though, in a lot of instances. Okay. 6'6", 190. Ken Palm has him listed shooting guard, small forward, so somewhere in between that. I mean, he's made 63s this year, shoots at 37%. So he does a lot. I mean, he made 10 twos against Kentucky. That was a lot of his scoring, so he can score from anywhere.
So he's a little bit better Ben Hummerkaus.
Okay.
He only shoots at 2% better.
And he also averages 20 points a game. Final one, buy or sell. Oklahoma coach Porter Moser is on a red hot seat.
I'm gonna sell that. I don't think Oklahoma is that worried about it.
I think the SEC is so hard this year that I think that'll save it for him.
Yeah, I mean.
And he got Jeremiah Fears to go there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a big pickup for him. I don't think that. Yeah, if they thought he would come in and just finish top 3 in the SEC every year, then I guess. But I don't know if they expected that.
Well, you just also kind of wonder about the history of Oklahoma hiring coaches recently, not great. I understand that this is an athletic director who has done some great things in 27 years or whatever. They've won 25 national championships in all the sports since he arrived in 1998, but he didn't really hit the nail on the head with, let's just say hit the mark. No need for nails on heads. He didn't hit the mark with the football hires so far. So
Okay.
if you're an Oklahoma fan, how much do you want this athletic director to hire another basketball coach? I don't know if that's any element of this at all, but Oklahoma 3-9 with a top 35 offensive efficiency, and their losses in the SEC have been against all really, really good, likely tournament teams with the exception of Georgia, Texas, or bubble teams, but they lost to LSU, which that's a bad one. But this is also a team that beat Arizona, they beat Louisville, they beat Michigan in the non-conference. I don't think there's any reason to fire him after this year, so I don't even think he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right. Let's do a quick mid-major check-in. UC San Diego, by God, folks, they win again over the weekend. Big time ball club. Now 12-2 in conference play. They beat UC Davis by 25. Continuing their dominance are the Tritons of UC San Diego. They like my tweet. Thank you for that to them. Bradley beating Drake yesterday. That was one of my picks. Big time win for Bradley. Really hurts Drake's at-large bid hopes. But Bradley can play. They got some athletes on that team. It's going to be a really good Missouri Valley Conference tournament if it's Bradley Drake in the final. It's always a good one for the most part, but we'll see if those two teams meet up in the final. UAB yesterday beat South Florida by 7. UAB plays Memphis March 2nd. That'll be a big game in the AAC. Gonzaga and St. Mary's still battling. Gonzaga's won 4 in a row now. Those two play this Saturday. Gonzaga's got a pretty hard schedule to finish based on the West Coast Conference as a whole. They got Washington State, St. Mary's, Santa Clara, San Francisco. They're on the road for 3 of those 4. And then Chattanooga and UNC Greensboro play next Thursday. Those two teams are tied at the top of the SoCon with Samford right behind them. Samford beat Wofford Saturday by 8. And that's enough mid-major hoops, thank God. I like it, but, we're already at 40 minutes almost. I wanted to do like 5 minutes. So
You're already 8 minutes over the allotted time.
It's my segments. It's
all good. I'm just here to listen to you. So.
Ranking the last 10 national champions is something we're going to do now. You want to participate?
I mean, that I don't remember these teams at all. So I'm going to go last year's UConn team, 21 Baylor, 22 Kansas, 23 UConn, 2017 North Carolina, 2015 Duke, 2014 UConn, 2016 Nova, 2018 Nova, 2021 Baylor. I F this all up. And Virginia's last. How's that sound?
Yeah, probably one of the worst rankings of all time, but that's all right. So number 10, I'm going 2014 UConn. I think pretty clear weak team. They lost a lot of games. They got hot and went on a run. Team, I know they went 32-8, but they were also a 7 seed. I get that their run was impressive. They were one of the best players in the country, but yeah. Next up, 2022 Kansas. I have number 9. Good team, but there's a lot of other really good teams on this list. 2017 North Carolina is number 8. 2021 Baylor is number 7. 2023 UConn is number 6. Top 5 is 2015 Duke. I think Duke got pretty lucky in 2015 to not have to play that Kentucky team in the national championship. Yeah. But Duke was very good as well. Jalil Okafor on that team, Tyus Jones, Justice Winslow, Grayson Allen, some NBA guys. 4 is 2016 Villanova. I think deciphering the Villanova teams was the hardest thing to do probably. But this 2017 or 2016 Villanova team was elite. They went 35-5. They beat Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Carolina in the Elite Eight to the national championship, which were 3 really good teams that year. They had just a tight rotation of guys who knew exactly what they were doing, and they did everything you need to do to win. Like, they were elite at the free throw line. They were elite inside the perimeter. They could shoot the 3. Their defense was elite. So I'll go with them. And then 2018 Villanova is number 3. That team went 36-4. They had the number 1 offensive efficiency in the country, 11th defensive efficiency. This is a more efficient offense, obviously. I probably should go with this team as better than the other one, but I really couldn't make a decision. But because of the fact that I think that the 2016 Nova team beat better teams than the 2018 Villanova team, I'll go with them. Or I'll go with I messed it up. 2018 Villanova is number 3. Okay. It was close. Their offense is a little bit better. That's what sold me. 2019 Virginia is number 2. That team lost in the first round as a 1 seed the year before. Obviously, big story. They go 35-3. They shot 40% from 3. They had Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, Diakite, Kie Clark. I mean, this was an elite team. They rolled in a lot of their tournament games. That's actually not true. They beat Oregon by 4 in the Sweet 16, and they went to overtime twice. So that was a complete lie, and they beat Auburn in the Final Four by 1. So I just lied to everybody. But you guys wouldn't have known it if I wouldn't have,
the
caught myself there.
Game was at overtime.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. But a team that did roll everybody was UConn last year. 2024 UConn's number 1. They went 37-3. Yeah, there you go. They went 37-3. They won their tournament games by 29, 17, 30, 25, 14, and 15. So double-digit wins in every game. They had NBA guys, Klingon, Castle, Spencer. Easy pick there with UConn. So UConn gets on the list 3 times or 4 times, 3 times, 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Bracketology and the bubble. Some quick points here. I think this could be a year. I think we say this a lot, but 4 or 5, being a 4 or 5 seed could be a little bit tougher this year. You got potential 12 and 13 seeds like McNeese, Samford, Jesus Christ, UC San Diego or UC Irvine out of the Big West. Akron, John Gross, elite offense this year, undefeated in the MAC. High Point, another good offense. Arkansas State and George Mason, all quality clubs there. So watch out for that. Tournament expansion is a terrible idea. I know there's a report that if they were to expand, and I guess it's a big if, it'd be 76 teams. Still a terrible idea regardless. It's just stupid. Cut the shit with that one is what I'd say. And then previewing the games of the week, instead of just listing them, we're going to give a quick preview and a pick. This will be good. Tonight,
all of them?
I got all the games listed. I got it. We're good. It'll be quick. It's going to be super quick.
So, but we don't need, but we're doing.
Yeah, we still have weeks. Yeah. This is just kind of a, for fun. Super fun.
Okay. Yeah, great times.
Arizona at Baylor tonight, 9:00 ESPN. It's going to be a good game. Interested to see the guard play. This is a big spot for Arizona on the road. They are a team that is coming off of 2 straight losses. And you know what, folks? I think it's going to be a third. I think Baylor takes care of their home court tonight. I think that the perimeter of Baylor shows out. I think Edgecombe has a big game. I think we even see some key stuff from Robert O. Wright, the freshman, who had 16 points against West Virginia in an overtime victory. I think he makes a couple threes, gets them going. Jeremy Roach, a veteran guard. This Baylor team, what I worry about them the most is that they are small, but I think they'll beat Arizona tonight.
Yeah, I'll take Baylor.
I'm going to write that down. We're both taking Baylor. Baylor times 2. Purdue at Michigan State tomorrow. This is a game that is going to be good. It's on Peacock, 6:00 Central. Michigan State coming off of a win at Illinois. Michigan State losing their last home game against Indiana. Purdue coming off of 2 straight losses, 1 on the road at Michigan, 1 at home against Purdue. Damn it, I knew I was going to say it when I said that. Wisconsin. I'm struggling. Purdue, Michigan State. Give me the Spartans to protect their home floor.
I'm going to take Purdue this game. Coming off 2 losses. Braden Smith's going to have a get-right game. They're going to find a way to win this one.
All right. Let's see. Illinois at Wisconsin, which we picked yesterday on the podcast. Illinois, no Merez Johnson. Have to think their lineup is going to be Yakachonis, Boswell,
Trey White
Hummerkaus.
back in the starting spot.
It's going to be Trey White or Will Riley, and then obviously
Got to be Will Riley, right?
Probably, but I still don't know. I would think so. Or they go DGL.
DGL.
Yeah, they've done that before. It worked really well against Nebraska or whoever that was against. I'm sticking with it. I'm going with Wisconsin.
Illinois. Even with Merez out, I'm sticking with Illinois.
8 o'clock on ESPN tomorrow night. Kansas at BYU. Kansas coming off of a loss in their game in Utah over the weekend. BYU, a team that is 17-8. They have won 6 of their last 8. They're 8 and a lot of 8s, 8-6 in the Big 12. They got home against Kansas this week, and then they're at Arizona on Saturday. This is a team that plays quality offense, and I think if they can get the home crowd into it early and they score a lot of points, they can overwhelm a Kansas team that struggles and is a little bit offensively challenged. Give me BYU in this game.
I'll take Kansas.
All right. Texas A&M at Mississippi State, which is SEC Network tomorrow, 6 o'clock. Texas A&M coming off of a win. They've won 5 in a row. They won at Missouri last Saturday. They protected home floor against Arkansas. They got Mississippi State and Tennessee. I don't trust Mississippi State ever for any reason ever, so give me the Aggies on the road.
Same.
Villanova at UConn. UConn coming off of a loss. I don't care what anybody says. UConn beats Villanova.
Same.
Wednesday, Alabama at Missouri. A huge spot for Missouri, a team that could really improve. Like Missouri could potentially get up to maybe a 3 seed, I think, if they finish strong. And this is a big spot. You got Alabama off of a loss. But I just think the damage that Alabama can do, I think we'll see that bear out. And I think Alabama takes care of business on the road.
Yeah, I think Alabama wins that for sure.
New Mexico at Boise State. That's 9 o'clock CBS Sports Network. I will always bet on New Mexico to win. New Mexico has a record of 15-1 since their loss, or after their loss to New Mexico State on December 7th. So give me the Lobos of New Mexico to win on the road at Boise State.
Sure.
All right, we're starting to get on the same page now. Nothing on Thursday of note. Friday, Michigan State at Michigan. Give me the Wolverines to win at home in a big one there. I think the physicality will match here. That'll be a big part of this game. I think they'll match. And I think Michigan will make enough plays down the stretch with Golden flopping and getting foul calls to propel them to a victory, and Izzo to get a technical to lose his mind, and Michigan wins.
I'm taking Michigan State in this game.
Marquette at Villanova. I'd never trust Villanova, so give me Marquette.
Yeah, sure. No, give me Villanova.
All right. Saturday, Tennessee at Texas A&M. Tennessee always wins early Saturday spots, so give me Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah, sure.
And they have a full week off before it. It's 11 a.m., so.
Wow.
St. Mary's at Gonzaga. Give me Gonzaga. Offense too good.
Gonzaga, sure.
Kentucky at Alabama. Offense will carry the day. I don't think Kentucky's going to be able to win on the road against a team that scores as much as Alabama, so give me Alabama.
I'm taking Kentucky in this one.
Illinois at Duke. I think the Illini wax them.
I'll take Duke.
Iowa State at Houston. Give me Iowa State's offense to come to play and beat Houston at Houston.
I think Houston's going to win this. Iowa State's worrying me lately. So
BYU at Arizona. I already took BYU to beat Kansas. I took Arizona to lose to Baylor, so give me Arizona. Oregon at Wisconsin. I don't think the Ducks have a chance in hell in this game. Give me Wisconsin.
I'm taking Oregon in this one.
Yeah, they'll trick everybody like they did against Michigan State. Put up like 50 points in the first half and just do nothing in the second half.
Right,
God, that team's annoying. Sunday, Purdue at Indiana. I mean, Indiana's going to get embarrassed. It's going to be one last embarrassment of the Woodson era against Purdue. Even though they've held up pretty well in the Woodson era against Purdue, to be fair. But I think they get beat.
I'll take Indiana at home in this game.
That's ridiculous.
Gave them a good game on the road. It seems like the guys are rallying around Woodson's last hurrah. I'll take Indiana.
Ohio State at UCLA.
UCLA.
You go first here. UCLA, okay. So I think we're getting a little too comfortable with UCLA, which is why I think Ohio State beats them. I think Ohio State makes a bunch of threes.
Tough traveling out.
I think their guards show up. Well, don't tell that to the Illini. They beat the piss out of Oregon and Washington.
Well,
back when they were good.
UConn teams are not very good too.
UConn at St. John's. I'm very excited for this game Sunday. This is a hard one to pick. I'm gonna take the Huskies. Obviously, I love both of these teams. I think St. John's is better.
Wow.
But I'm taking UConn.
I'll take Rick Pitino since you seem to hate him all of a sudden.
Yeah, I do. That's right. All right. 5 picks of the week. I went 3-2 last week. Go with your 5.
I went 3-2 last week also. I went Michigan State at Michigan. You guys already heard all these. Purdue
that's true.
At Michigan State. Oregon at Wisconsin. Kentucky at Alabama. And Illinois beats Wisconsin. Last week I said 40 they were going to win by. 20. This week I'm saying Illinois wins by 40 at the Kohl Center.
All road teams, huh?
Yep. That's what makes them upsets.
My non-upsets are Kansas State over Utah, New Mexico over Boise State, and I just contradicted myself. UCLA over Ohio State. So I got my toes dipped in both there. Whoops, didn't even notice that. I stand by both of my picks there.
Nice.
Vanderbilt beats Kentucky, and Illinois just embarrasses Duke. I don't think Duke
40
realizes how embarrassed they're going to get by the Illini.
I can't wait to see Ben Hummerhouse just lock down flag.
Yeah. The haters are going to be sick. It should be interesting. So we got under an hour, so that's a win. So
yeah, now I can go watch my niece play regional championship. Regional game. So perfect timing, Ethan. Yep, starts at 6. So.
We will be on Spaces, or at least I will be. I don't know if you're going to be tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll probably hop on tomorrow.
Tomorrow night after the Wisconsin-Illinois game, and then we'll be back with Illini Basketball Podcast later on in the week, and then Watch Party Saturday, and then another episode next week. And we got this next Monday, so we'll see everybody and all that stuff.